Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to our first ever Startup Spotlight. It's a huge treat to be able to introduce Bethany from Sendspark to our community, but I wanted to take a second, and I know that today or this week or this month or this year has felt pretty hectic and ridiculous, and our community is being hit pretty hard right now, but we are resilient. We're going to bring a little bit of positivity and a little bit of startup magic to you today. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and kick off our first ever Startup Spotlight interview with Bethany from Sendspark. Bethany, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're feeling today.
Hey, thanks so much for featuring me here. I'm great. I am one of the co-founders of Sendspark. My partner is Brandon Escalante, and we've been working on Sendspark for the last year and a half to build a video platform for businesses to connect with their customers online by recording short personal videos and sending them out over email, Slack, or really any business communication channel.
Oh my gosh. So definitely been busy. And in a time like what we're all facing right now with the pandemic and limited face-to-face, I imagine that the need for this has kind of grown to add that human element to your business communications.
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely seen more users over the last few months, and we've also seen like new industries using video for the first time. It's definitely been kind of crazy to see the world change so much in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, and just I guess how fortunate it is that you guys had this idea in the first place. So, why don't we kind of dig into that a little bit, and why don't you kind of share a little bit more about your background? And I think if I remember correctly, you are a BFA fellow. Like, we'd love to hear how you either came to San Antonio or came back to San Antonio, and what made you create your company in the first place.
Yeah, sure. So yes, I'm a Venture for America fellow. So I first moved to San Antonio about 5 years ago to work at a startup, and I was just really interested in startups. So I wanted to see how companies form. So I took a job with FileStack and was kind of just doing a bit of everything, mostly marketing. And that's how I met my co-founder, Brandon. His background's in product and design. So as a marketing person, we worked very closely together. And one of the things we noticed at FileStack and another company that we worked at together was just there's a big disconnect with the way that businesses normally connect with their customers versus the way that people like to talk to other people. And so, I mean, it's kind of a joke now. You get an email from a company and you're like, spam, like stop spamming me. I don't like this. And so that was a big thing we saw is like a business, you need ways to connect with customers and reach out and get new customers. But you also want to do it in a way that people actually like. And so Brandon and I looked a lot at how people like to communicate in the consumer space. And we saw a lot of video. TikTok's exploding. We both love Snapchat, and even Instagram and Facebook and kind of traditional social media has been going a lot more video for a long time. So it's kind of easy to see that if we wanted businesses to send out messages that people liked receiving, there would have to be a bigger video component than there has been. And so we started trying out different ways to send videos to customers at past companies. And we saw that most video platforms just aren't really designed for the business use case. Like for one thing, when you're communicating on behalf of a business, you're not just sending a one-to-one message. You're trying to incorporate multiple voices, multiple people, projects that a bunch of different people worked on. And so it's just a different process to have a video and send it out. So we wanted to build a really intuitive, easy solution to let people send kind of professional looking videos to their customers, but in a way that's still authentic and fun and engaging.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that definitely comes through very loud and clear. Like, I've been on the receiving end of one or two of those videos, and it's definitely very impactful. And I like how much control that you give the user to be able to craft it the way that they need to, that best fits their company, as well as, what their goals are. Um, I think if you wouldn't mind, like, helping us understand how you guys kind of took it from like the idea concept towards like building your first product. I think for a lot of founders out there, you know that it's possible, you can make this happen if you have the right people, but like, what did that look like for you guys trying to make this first run of Sendspark?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a process. Like the very first version was like literally just kind of scrappy, all the parts that we thought were important, kind of home built and put together. Like I said, Brandon's a great designer. So we're kind of custom making individual videos to send them out and just test, like, will this have a better impact? Are people more likely to respond to a video than a text? So this like really scrappy, complicated home built solution, but we just wanted to know if we build a platform for people to send videos to customers that's supposed to get you more conversions, will it work? So once we're able to prove that, then we kind of went into more of the MVP stage, where we wanted to build something that other people could use all on their own. And so what we made is now like so embarrassingly ugly. Like it was like this platform that had like 3 sidebars, but it did the basics, which were record a video and add a call to action below the video. So again, we found like people would use it and it would work, but it took so much time to make a video doing it that way that, you know, people, it was just hard to keep the usage up. And you might use it for a very important newsletter, but it was too much work for kind of a simple video. And so then we embarked on a journey to make it more simple and more fast. And so, you know, we're actually just about to release a Chrome extension, hopefully this week, probably next week, that will literally let Sendspark be on any page on your website. So it's just one click to launch a recorder to record your face or screen and then send off the video. So it's really been this, yeah, so it's pretty cool. But it's definitely been a process. Like we could have done that from the beginning because it took 3 months to really build it right. And we had to get the feedback along the way of like, should we even be building this? Will, you know, does it work? Will people use it? Yeah. And one thing we were concerned about was like, will people be okay being behind the camera? Like that's kind of an uncomfortable thing. And so, you know, it's been interesting to see that behavior change, but it's all kind of recent. That was a big thing we were working on before, is just how do we get people over the hump of putting their face out there?
Yeah. I mean, it's scary. Like, you know, I have a background in theater, and, you know, I've done a lot of like moderating and other things like, but it's still awkward to have that camera component versus a person component. And so it can make things a little bit awkward. But I think from what I have experienced myself in trying to use a Sendspark video is that it's actually very seamless, and you make it so easy that it almost doesn't really feel like you're doing that way in the first place. But let's dive in a little bit deeper here, because, you know, you were talking about getting feedback, you know, and helping using customer or potential customer feedback to develop the idea. Can you maybe offer a little bit of advice or maybe lessons learned when you were doing that initial customer discovery and getting that information from them?
Yeah. So some feedback that we got was really just that it had to be simple. So originally there were like kind of all these things that you could add to your video that we thought would make it really compelling. Like you could actually build a custom chat bot below your video and have like an interactive conversation. So, you know, there'd be a button, do you want to sign up for a demo? And then you could have a response. Yeah. And then like kind of go back and forth, which looked really cool. And we thought people would love it. And then it turned out just no one used it. And that like speed is often really important, especially when you're responding to a customer question and someone's like, how do I do this? And you want to show them how. So we ended up simplifying, we ended up getting rid of some features, but like focusing on speed. And then, like you said, like sometimes it can be uncomfortable in front of the camera. So we learn to do things that just automatically make the video look a little bit better. And it's a lot of small things like rounding corners a certain way and just making sure that your face is going to look good on a page. But that's gone a long way to like making people more comfortable. And then we also built screen recording so that, you know, either if you're uncomfortable showing your face, you can record your screen and speak over it. And then we also found that was like a feature people really wanted, to be able to show, like, you know, it's not just about me, it's about like, what am I trying to show you and the product and how to do things. So those are all things that we learned just from having people use it and ask for feedback.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I think that that's really helpful. You know, it's one of those things like customer discovery and also getting continuous customer feedback is just so helpful, especially if you're approaching things from an iterative or an agile design perspective. Like if you don't have that line of communication and openness with your customers, it's going to be very problematic for you, because you're going to build yourself into features that you don't need. And, you know, if your perspective as the founders is that you need to get this up and running very quickly and make sure that the efforts that you do put into it, that it's I'm not quite a fan of this phrase, but it's applicable, like worth the squeeze, I guess, like in that terms of time and compression and what you have to give. So thank you. I'd like to just also let people know who might be tuning in, like we do want you to ask questions. We have plenty of time. We have Bethany until about 1:30. And so we want to open this up. If you have questions or comments, please drop them in the channels below, and we'll make sure that Bethany and I see them so we can, help you guys figure out, maybe how to do this for yourself, or maybe just learn more about Sendspark and how you might be able to utilize it. So since you are not new to San Antonio, but you have come home to San Antonio in the last 5 years, can you talk to people a little bit about, how this community has supported you or what it's been like building a startup company in San Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, the San Antonio community is awesome. I think it's kind of because it's small that it's so intimate and supportive. And we've had help from people through every step of the way. Of course, like our team's from San Antonio, or at least, mostly lives here now. And, our first investors are from San Antonio, all of our first customers and the people who gave us feedback early on. And then there's also just like a really great community of founders who've helped us kind of know what not to do and teach us from their mistakes. And it's been like, our office is normally right down the street from Geekdom. We go to Geekdom all the time. And where we are is also a co-working space. So there's definitely, there's like enough people doing companies that like there's so much to learn, but it's also small enough that people really care about each other. And I think that's really important, that there's so many people who are like invested in our success, and you feel the energy, like you feel the support. So it's been absolutely great. We love San Antonio.
That's awesome. It's so wonderful to hear that, as an advocate for this city, in the tech and entrepreneur space myself, like the visibility on what is possible in San Antonio, I think people maybe don't quite understand how nuanced our community is, or just like how much activity is going on. And so to know that young founders such as yourself, who could have done this anywhere, found a really great place to take root and to grow in an environment that's also kind of set up to help you be successful, given what we've been working on in the last few years. So it's really comforting to hear that from you and Brandon. And we really enjoy having you guys a part of our community. So thank you.
Cool.
So the next question I have, is probably one that a lot of our founders are going to want to hear. Like, what advice do you have for founders or young founders wanting to, and I say young very loosely, I mean young as in new founders, or people who maybe haven't gotten the game started in terms of creating a startup? What is your advice for people like that?
Yeah. So I think one thing that took us kind of a while to realize is that you want to be really honest with yourself at what stage you're at, and then like hold yourself to the right metrics for that stage, and not get distracted by like what everyone else is doing or saying. Because I think there are very certain stages where like, first you validate the idea, and then you build a product and get product market fit and make sure you're building something people love. And then you start focusing on growth and revenue. And if you start like jumping to number 3 without doing number 1, like you're just going to confuse yourself because the metrics don't really align. So I think it's important to find like the right metrics that are going to guide you forward, and know what the stages are, and go at them in order, and just know like, okay, we're at this stage, we have to focus on, making sure like people are coming back to the product every day and using it, and that, our customers are achieving their results, and we'll check and move forward.
Yeah. How did you find metrics for Sendspark?
I mean, it's definitely tricky, and I think it's different for every business. Mm-hmm. But we've spent a lot of time like really diving into like, what is the value? Like, what is the point where people really know this is it for me? And we found that it really comes to not even just creating the first video, but it's about getting a response to it. So people don't really find that like joy of Sendspark until they send out a video and someone responds saying, "This is awesome," or like, "Wow, this is so cool. You're so different from any other company." And it's like when they get that response, that's when they start feeling really good. And so now like a lot of our like current efforts on helping people get to that moment and helping them achieve their results. It's not just like, hey, this is how you record. It's like, this is how you get someone to schedule a demo with you, or get someone to reply, or get someone to send you a video back, and helping people get to that point.
That's awesome. And I think you're right. Like, I mean, it is different for every company, right? You don't know fully like what metrics you need to be hitting until you kind of do those initial foundation laying questions and finding resources. And speaking, I guess, of resources, what resources would you say are like the most important for founders who are just getting started or who maybe are on the journey? To help you out and help you define what those metrics or what those successes might or should look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of like data-driven platforms to help you like collect analytics, but I think when you're early on, it's more important that you get kind of that qualitative feedback from people. So like the first thing I think we set up was intercom. So that way like people using it could just chat us. And like, it's not like a little chart and a thing we can run like analytics on, but at least like we know what people are saying, and we didn't have like that much data starting off anyway. So it's really just getting that, like asking people why they're using it, what they're trying to do, and then like where they're getting stuck. It's like it can start with conversations. I also read a book called The Mom Test that was like awesome. And basically the point of the book is like, if you ask your mom for feedback, your mom is going to lie to you to make you feel good and just say like, this is great. I'm so proud of you. Like, this is so cool, and tell you what you want to hear. And so when you're getting real feedback from people, you have to make sure that you're asking questions in a way that they're not just going to tell you what you want to hear, and then you're going to keep running really fast in the wrong direction. So I would say like read The Mom Test, super short book, and make sure you kind of know the right questions to ask, and then just keep lines of communication open. Try to get meetings at first, and just like straight up chats from people.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. We have a couple questions that came in. One of them from Sandra is, what type of people did you test did you get to test your prototype?
Yeah, so type of people. So when we built this, we like built it for SaaS businesses in mind. That's the companies that Brandon and I worked at. So we looked at like the companies we'd worked at before, and like local companies in San Antonio that we knew would take a meeting with us. And so it was a lot of software businesses and kind of like either friend companies or like friends of friends. But it was really just anyone that we could get to sit in a room with us. And we were testing out different customer types too. Like at first we didn't know, we thought it'd be a marketing product. And then we learned like marketers don't really like being on camera that much. So we kind of switched to talk to sales. And then we realized like, oh, actually the sweet spot would be kind of marketing and sales teams working together, and then kind of dove into what does that collaboration have to look like? How do those teams work together? We built a feature for marketers to request videos from salespeople to send it out. So it was like kind of a mix depending on what we were trying to learn, like the different roles. And we also talked to different size companies, but realized like when it comes to enterprise, there's just so many restrictions that it's like not even worth focusing on early, because you have to build a custom storage solution before you build the product. And so we were just trying different things and seeing who seemed the most excited about the product.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So we did have a comment, so not really a question, but I think you should just know that Derek said, I'm using your Sendspark platform today as we speak. Absolutely amazing to be able to bring a professional interactive experience to send emails with, my screen cut up, with call to action. So
that's awesome.
That's awesome thing. Yeah. If you haven't checked out Sendspark, go check it out, because Derek says it's amazing, and he's totally right.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek.
Okay. So we kind of touched on a little bit at the beginning of the call. We can't not talk about it. How has Sendspark pivoted since the COVID-19 pandemic has started earlier this year?
Yeah. So there's definitely been like a few different ways that we've changed, apart from like working from home and the obvious things. But one thing that we realized really early we'd have to adapt for is the way that so like one thing didn't really change, which is, people have to connect with their customers online. Like we were prepared for that. But we learned that the ways that teams work together is changing very significantly, and we had to adapt for that. So, before, if the marketer wanted to send a video of a salesperson, they would just hold their phone and record a video. But now that they're not sitting in the same room, it's actually really tricky to record videos with other people, or to get videos from other people, because then you have to worry about sending the video file. And so we've built a lot more collaboration into the platform. And we think like remote work is going to continue, not going away anytime soon. So we're really building Sendspark not just as a remote tool to connect with your customers, but also to collaborate with your other team members, and send videos internally online too. So that was kind of the big shift we made.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's kind of get into some of your other successes, right? You guys have successfully raised some funds in the last year or two. Can you kind of walk us through what those milestones have looked like for you and maybe how you approached funding?
Yeah. So fundraising is a crazy process, and we've raised a bit of money before, but we were actually planning to, we had our deck ready to start fundraising like June or March 9th. So it was like the worst possible timing. Like the world's like, wait, what's happening right now? And a lot of things were put on hold. But in a way, it actually helped level the playing field a bit, because being in San Antonio, you're not like, if you want to raise money from San Francisco or New York investors, normally you have to fly there. And you're kind of, at a different level than companies that are already there. So kind of with everything being remote, I think it actually helped quite a bit. We were able to participate in events like Fundraise from Home, which was like a cool demo day put on by the Weekend Fund, where we got to like pitch in front of some big investors. But we just reached out to a lot of people, and I think it's important when fundraising to know like, what check size do people write and what industry do investors tend to invest in, and try to narrow the search as much as possible. And then when you reach out to investors, just like with customers, to send like really personalized messages, we sent a lot of videos, and even got some meetings with, I think we definitely got more meetings because we were able to send out videos. But the key thing was to think about like who's interested in the video space, who's interested in B2B SaaS, who's interested in not San Francisco companies. And actually we ended up also looking at accelerator programs. So we raised a little bit more capital, and then we also are about to start an accelerator. So that's a pretty exciting thing.
That is very exciting. And I won't push you too much on that, because I know you probably aren't in a position yet to be fully announcing the things, but it's a very exciting time. And, me and several other people got to watch you at the Tech Fuel Pitch competition last year, and that was really exciting. And so, thank you for letting us go on this journey with you a little bit in a more public space as well. Funding is just one of those tricky things, especially in a market like San Antonio. It's one of the biggest hurdles to overcome, and also to just get the attention of those investors in other locations to just know that you're even there. So I think that if we have to have a positive lighting to this current situation, other than remote work is a possibility, and it's probably going to stick around, and that the level playing field is there, then I think that that's probably a good place to start, and it gives some hope to new founders.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of change, and I think it's all about finding the silver lining. And we were also like lucky to be in a position where we could choose what investors we wanted to work with too, which I think really goes both ways. Like even just the last year, our investors have been some of our best advisors and biggest supporters, and really helped us. And so we really want to be cautious of like always finding people who are going to like be part of this journey, and part of the process that we're learning. So
yeah, well, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the people who are tuning in. If you do have any questions or comments, please be sure to drop them in. Now's the time to talk to Bethany. We've got her for about another 30 minutes. And while you're doing that, Bethany, if you could maybe talk to us a little bit more about video marketing for business and why it's so important.
Yeah. So there's a few ways that people have been are like really using Sendspark to kind of boost their business. I think one thing is like sending out video newsletters that really showcase the people behind the product and behind the team, whether that's the CEO, like kind of talking about the mission, or it's, maybe the engineer, the product manager who really worked on the product that is being announced, or just a video showing the product in action. So it's really like a lot of people are sending out these video newsletters that get 3 to 8 times the engagement than a traditional like text and GIF email would. And then another big thing is just like sending out these quick personal emails to customers. So anytime when you're about to start writing about visual things, it's often easier to record a video. And that's a big part of the reason that we build a Chrome extension is so now like right when you're typing an email in Gmail, you can just click to record and launch your, a screen recorder, a face recorder, and send it out. I think it's like hard to realize how special it is to get a video from someone else until you do. But it definitely has a big impact on just like building the relationship between business and customer.
Yeah, and especially now when that's all that we sometimes have. So is it possible, do you think, that we could see maybe a demo for the product for Sendspark?
Yeah, for sure. I can share my screen.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
Okay. All right, let me. So I'm like switching which monitor this was on versus my window. Okay, share screen. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the basic Sendspark platform. And here you can see my videos are all videos that I've made. And then team videos are videos that everyone in your team can put in this folder to share. So this is our intern, Alexandra, who's been sending out welcome videos to all of our new customers. And then video requests are videos that you've requested from other people outside the organization. So you can just send out a link to a video or a link to a recording page, and anyone can record a video without downloading or installing anything. So I'll go ahead and make a video. I'll make one to thank everyone who's watching this video for being here. So from here, it's a little slow, I think, because I have Zoom running as well. Let's see. I'll refresh.
Well, we know technology is not a perfect science, so.
Yeah, it's funny because since it's a Chrome application, it slows down when you're sharing your screen, and especially on Google Meet because they both use Chrome. So if you're not recording it looks better. But you can just click start recording to make a video. So I'll count down. Hey, thanks so much for watching and taking the time to learn more about Sendspark. It's great to meet you. Hopefully we'll meet sometime soon. So you can preview your video and then it's going to load on this page. And you can add a call to action below your video. And of course, all of this is customizable. So you can add your own logo and change the colors and add a text like, hey, thanks for being awesome. And then I'll go ahead and show, I'm going to have this button be send me a video back. And hopefully people will send me videos. So let me grab a request video link from Sendspark and put it in. So this link, anyone can just click to record a video and it's going to upload to this folder. So I would put this in the call to action, and now I have a nice shareable video. So I can just click share, and this link to the video will open in any browser. I can even post it.
Yeah, post it in the chat so that way we can send it out to the channels.
Okay. Yeah, so there's the video. And then if I wanted to send it out by email, what I can do is I can edit this thumbnail. So this thumbnail is what people are going to see in their inbox. And like, this was a big reason of like why I made Sendspark to begin with. No one's going to watch a video if they don't know what it's about. And so you want to show them that it's personal, it's made for them, and give them a kind of a taste, a preview of what's going to be in store. So one thing is add a timestamp. So they know it's a short video. It won't take, 30 minutes. And we let you search for your customer's logo or your own logo. So I'll search for Geekdom, and it's going to add it to the thumbnail to kind of personalize it and say like, hey, Geekdom is awesome. And kind of give a taste. I mean, I normally be like, hey, Joyce, I made you a video, or something a little more personal. And then once you have this thumbnail, then you can just copy and paste it straight into an email draft. So this works in Gmail, it works in Outlook. It works in HubSpot, MailChimp, like any of those email automation platforms too. And basically what you're doing is you're putting the preview to the video with a link to the landing page I just shared. So, so you can just send this off and now you have like a moving video email.
Hot dang. Awesome. Well, thank you. Are there any other features that you want to touch on before we go back to our questions?
Not really. I mean, other than that, you can track like analytics, see views, plays, kind of the basic stuff. But yeah, this is Sendspark at its core.
Thank you so much for that. I think that that was immensely helpful. I don't think that everybody has the option of Derek to be able to like tune in and take a look at it and make a video while we're in action. But the demo and being able to share that link is going to be really helpful for people who want to know more about what you do. What ways have customers responded and engaged with the product since you kind of got it to this stage?
Yeah, I mean, people are sending videos for all kinds of different things. I think when we started, we were really thinking like this is about like the sales and marketing process, and kind of getting more demos and more signups, and just more like engagement. But we're really seeing like we're seeing that as well as like really creative ways. So one thing I thought was interesting was we have a few schools that are customers, and over the last few months, and it's actually the fundraising departments, right? So over the last few months, as all of these in-person events have been shut down, they've been using Sendspark and the request video feature to get testimonials from their alumni and kind of say like what they're doing now, why they believe in the school, or people who are on scholarships, kind of talking about that and sending it out. And so I think it's just been cool to see all these creative things that like we wouldn't have thought of building the product of like showcasing the students, showcasing other customers, and then building that into engagement campaigns.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. So I guess like you kind of definitely touched on this several times, but I guess maybe very directly, how has this really helped companies that have been forced to do more remote selling online? Can you provide like a couple of use cases outside of the fundraising departments of schools?
Yeah. So we're just seeing a lot of companies, especially ones that have had to pivot, just sending, personal videos about what they're doing now, how things are changing and building that human touch into the process. Like CodeUp is a great San Antonio company that's been using Sendspark, and they had to move all their classes online. And so kind of having video being part of that customer experience, I think has done a lot to personalize the student journey that they weren't able to have in person. And so they use Sendspark for, sending student updates and telling people what are going to happen next. They also use it for reaching out to potential employers, recruiting, and kind of all across the business to just add a personal touch. And I think CodeUp really values like personalization, and that's what makes them different from a typical online coding bootcamp is their emphasis on in person. So when they can't do class in person, I think video is really the next best thing to show students how much they care and how personalized the coding journey is for them.
Yeah, most definitely. And CodeUp is, one of our tried and true favorites, here in the community. And I get to work with CodeUp alums quite a bit in our programs. And I know that the company has baked in heart into dealing with their students. And so this seems like a very natural relationship between the two. So thank you. Given that you've been doing this startup stuff for a while and how important it is to leverage like lean, free online tools, open source, whatever's, do you have a list of favorites that are like your go-to?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what we're using right now. So obviously Slack, amazing. We're still on the free plan, though I think we'll have to upgrade soon eventually. All of our messages are disappearing. We also started using Remotion for synchronous video meetings. And it's, it's kind of like Zoom or Google Meet or any of that, and that you can meet face to face. But what's really cool about it is you can set yourself to be available, and then like anyone can just pop up on your screen. So it's kind of a fun, like, think of it as like tapping your shoulder at an office. We've been using that for team meetings. It's Remotion. It's free now. Who knows how long it'll be free for. We've used I know we're using HubSpot, and they have a really good, like they're known for being expensive, but they have a really good startup plan that kind of lasts for 2 years. So I think it's really great for managing like all of the email, like we use them for sending out emails and managing contact records. and just keeping like all of our data in one place. We actually even host our website on HubSpot. Like I found at other companies I worked at, one of the toughest things is like synchronizing data to all talk. So you have so many different platforms, and like, well, someone did something on one platform and another here. So like HubSpot's awesome. They just either do it all or sync the data in a way that makes sense. And another product I love that also has a great free plan is Segment. And so what you can do with Segment is set up the events you want to track. So like someone signed up, they recorded a video, they got a call to action from a customer, set up all these events, and then it will sync it to any of the other platforms you use. So that makes just tracking and like knowing, it makes it really easy to track the customer events when you're not actually sure what tools you're going to use, because you can just plug them up to Segment and send those events anywhere. So if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to use HubSpot or Intercom or something else, then as long as you set up a Segment, you're kind of more free with other tools you use.
No, thank you so much for that. I think a lot of, sort of the hesitancy that people have, or the things that end up holding them back, is because they don't necessarily all know the kinds of tools. Even if you can do a Google search, it doesn't necessarily give you the best ways. Like you get ratings, but putting them into practice. And so hearing from other founders what works best for them and how they utilize a platform is immensely beneficial. So thank you for sharing that information. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes left. If we wrap up early, that's fine. And I've got a couple more questions for Bethany, but if you also have additional questions, please drop them in the comments section. We'd love to be able to get you involved in this dialogue. We grow together if we work together and talk to each other. And so do that here now. So while we're waiting, Bethany, is startup life, founder life, it's crazy, it's hard, it's not normal or sane, even in the best of times, particularly during this pandemic. So if you could maybe share some of your best go-to tricks on how you and Brandon unwind or separate yourself a little bit from what's happening, where the weight of the world isn't on your shoulders and you're not having to scramble. What is it that you guys do to protect yourselves from burnout?
Yeah. Oh, we definitely do different things. So I am like very into doing physical things. I think especially when you like look at a computer all day, like the best way to kind of like get your mind off it is to do something that's like hard and physical. So I do aerial silks, which is kind of like a circus art form where you basically like can climb. I mean, it's like climbing. You climb the silks and you can kind of do tricks in the air. And I like that because if you try to think about work while tying yourself by a rope in the air, like you will fall and hurt yourself. So it like forces you to kind of like, or forces me to really distance and just kind of like, it's almost like meditative, right? It really takes your mind off it and forces you to focus. So that's my outlet. It's been harder to do that with things closed. We've had to like hang silks from bridges or try I don't know. It's been a little tough the last few months trying to figure out how to do that from home. But I mean, I think like anything physical is great. Brandon's the other way. He makes music actually. Sometimes even on calls, you kind of hear like old strumming and you're like, oh, he's got the guitar out. But I think definitely having like a creative or physical outlet is important, because if you just work all the time, you could, and especially with coronavirus, it's hard because there aren't like parties or things happening, but it definitely helps creativity to like step back and come back into it and have fresh eyes. So we definitely try to like budget in break time.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I mean, we don't always remember to take care of ourself during these moments, even without all the added stresses and pressures. There's a lot of push in the startup world to just grind, and you can. But I think that there's a huge benefit in doing that physical stuff and allowing your brain to kind of wander in other places, because you don't know what kind of cool connections you're going to get on the back end, or just the rest that's going to come from that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And I definitely think with like coronavirus, like that's probably the hardest thing. Like working from home is like kind of great in that like, you can do all your home things work, but it's just so hard to separate it. Cause it used to be like, at some point in the night, even if we had more work to do, we'd get really hungry and it'd be too late. Everything downtown would be closed and we'd have to leave and eat. And now that like I'm working 10 feet away from my kitchen, like there's no reason to stop. And you have to like actively, force yourself to take breaks. So I think that's one thing that, working from home has its trade-offs for sure.
Yeah, typically there's less traffic, but it's definitely
Pros and cons.
yeah, pros and cons for sure. We don't have any additional questions coming in, so I'm going to let this sort of last question fall to you, Bethany, with what are some of the upcoming things that Sendspark is working on? And I know you said that you're going to begin an accelerator, but I know that's not the only thing on your horizon. So what is the new frontier for Sendspark moving forward?
Yeah, so actually the first day of the virtual accelerators today, so we're really excited about that. And I mean, we definitely have some really ambitious growth goals over the next few months. And one thing I think I mentioned too is we have this Chrome extension that we're getting ready to release. It's currently available unlisted on the apps or on the Google Web Store. So if anyone wants to test it and use it for a couple weeks before we make it public, definitely let me know, and we would love to have your feedback. The really cool thing about it, unlike our web app, it has screen recording. You can record just your screen or your face and both. So excited about that. And I think it also opens up a new vertical for us, which is customer success. So, we've really been focused on sales and marketing, and now we can add, customer success when you're responding to customer questions or want to showcase information. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like, we're trying to build the plane as we fly it a little bit. And I think the world keeps changing, and we're just trying to keep rolling and create the video platform people need right now.
Well, I think that you're definitely doing that. So thank you for it. And I'm sure that your customers and their customers really appreciate it as well. It's always a pleasure getting to talk to you, Bethany. And I don't think that we ever do it enough because we're always so busy running around. But I love seeing what you and Brandon do. And I know our community also appreciates it. If you guys haven't had a chance to go check out Sendspark and what they offer here in San Antonio, and since it's virtual, they can offer it anywhere. Please do check them out. If you're an investor and you're interested, or if you are someone who's really eager to find out more about how to get plugged in, come and visit Geekdom. You can go to Startup San Antonio, look at the ecosystem map that we have. Some of our other partner organizations are also equally amazing. Launch SA is also a phenomenal resource if you're here in town and you're wanting to get started. With all of that, everybody have a phenomenal Wednesday. We're just going to keep trucking, and let us know how we can be helpful. All right.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll see you.